Agent Webinar Series call with a couple of superstars where they'll be sharing it with you how to close more than 50 transactions a year just from online leads. We'll be just getting started in just a couple minutes. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Risk Media Agent Webinar Series event. We're excited for you to be here. We're excited for the great guests that we have today. Today's topic is Spark Sales Success Online. And the goal is to share with you not theory, not what you probably should do, but I wanted to bring in experts today on really converting internet leads. Close over 50 transactions a year just off of leads generated on the internet. My name is Verl Workman. I'm the founder and CEO of Workman Success Systems out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We coach and train many of the elite agents and teams in the world. If you want more information about that, we'll give you a link at the end, and you can learn more about how to take your business to the next level. I also want to encourage all of you to stay on till the very end. At the end of each of these webinars, we always have unbelievable gifts for those of you that stay. What we're going to give you today is we're going to share with you a couple things. We're going to share with you the Ultimate Buyer's Guide that's used by one of our guests today, Lane Hornung, and we're going to share with you unbelievable scripts, postcards, and marketing materials to drive offline traffic to your online sites. So make sure you stay to the very end, and we'll make sure that we give you a link on how to get that information. Also, we'll be recording the webinar, so if you were going really fast and you feel like you're not able to get all the information because there's so much content today, just know that we'll send you a link that you can download and re-listen to the webinar time and time again. For those of you that have questions, if you have questions during the webinar, I'll be monitoring the GoToWebinar toolbar. So if you just click on the questions button and you can type your question in, I'll do my best to ask our guests questions when we get to appropriate times during their presentation to break. Last is you can follow the webinar on Twitter, and you can also interact with other people that are on the webinar at Risk. I got to make sure I get the hashtag correctly. It's Risk Webinar. So it's @Risk Webinar or hashtag Risk Webinar. So make sure that you follow and interact with us. And if you get good ideas or hear something you think is cool, then post that on Twitter, and let's keep the conversation going. And let's make this thing go viral. We love your enthusiasm and the participation for those of you that are regulars on the calls, and we know that you get an amazing amount of value. I want to welcome real quick Brett Johnson with Risk Media's Content Solutions. It was really cool. On our last webinar, we had Ann share with us some of the things that Content Solutions does, and I'll tell you that my coaches, most of them are seven-figure income earners themselves, were so fired up that they all bought accounts and they're all using Risk Media Content Solutions now as part of their interactive content. Brett, welcome to the call today.
Thanks, Verl. Happy to be here. Again, just want to welcome everyone to the webinar. We're very happy to be sponsoring the webinar today. And as Verl mentioned, just going to provide a quick overview today about RIS Media's Content Solutions platform. So Risk Media Content Solutions is the real estate industry's leading source for quality content for broker, agent, and MLS websites, blogs, and newsletters. And it offers an easy-to-use content and marketing platform that connects you with your sphere and helps them stand apart among consumers. We understand that you have very busy days and your time is extremely valuable, and that makes it difficult to stay consistently in touch with your clients. So let us help you with that. We have over 11,000 articles, hundreds of videos, newsletters, email drip campaigns, press releases, and more. So we absolutely encourage all of you to take a look at what our Content Solutions packages have to offer. You can visit us at www.rismediacontentsolutions.com. And just to make sure everyone is aware, Content Solutions programs are offered for each individual agent and are also available for the broker or MLS association. And today, for our webinar attendees, we are offering a 20% discount on any of our a la carte assets or any of our bundled packages as well. Simply enter the coupon code RISWebinar when signing up on our site. Again, rismediacontentsolutions.com. And if anyone has direct questions or need any further information on Content Solutions strictly, I can be reached at bjohnson@rismedia.com. So I do thank you all again for your time, and I'll be happy to send it back over to Verl.
Thanks, Brett, and thanks again to RIS Media for sponsoring the webinars, and RIS Media's Content Solutions for sponsoring this particular one. We appreciate your support, and let's get right into it. And I want to first welcome my friend and superstar agent, Galen Hawes from Eugene, Oregon. Galen, welcome to the call today.
Thanks, Earl. Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you here. So here's what I know about Galen is he started, he's an Oregon native, and we're not going to hold that against him because it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And he started his real estate career back in 1989. He's the operating principal of Keller Williams Realty in Eugene and Springfield. He was the co-founder of one of the nation's best internet lead generation systems, but when nobody else was doing lead generation, they founded a company called RealPro Systems that was a staple for so many of our clients for a lot of years. It has done a great job. Galen's always been on the forefront of internet marketing and internet lead conversion. He's truly an expert, not just on internet, but on marketing systems and processes. He's on track to close over 150 transactions this year, which I think is kind of interesting because that's kind of a scaled back version, isn't it, Galen? You used to do a lot more than that.
It is, yeah. It's the new look for us.
The new normal is he wants to slow down to 150, which I think is phenomenal. Galen, tell us a little bit about your team right now. What it looks like.
Okay, right now we have 3 buyers agents on our team. And the great thing about it, one of them's been with me 17 years, the other one 12, and the other one 3 years. So they're pretty seasoned agents. I have 2 admin. One of them is just a listing specialist, marketing specialist, and the other one that is does escrows. And like I said, like you just said, we're on track to do somewhere around 150 transactions. We were doing 200 plus, but we've kind of scaled back a little bit. And I think, as I mentioned to you, Verl, our at the end of the day, I think our net looks pretty close to the same doing 150 as it did 200 plus. So,
what I think is interesting is that there's, everybody thinks they have to grow every year, and you have to have massive growth to be profitable. And what you're telling me is that actually you were just as profitable at 150 as you are at 200, with the less stress of the extra 50 transactions.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it was pretty interesting how that works, and so I think we're going to pretty well stay with the size team we have for right now, and kind of try to keep around the level of production we're doing.
I think that's great. Before you jump in and tell me where business comes from, you said something that just piqued my interest, but how do you keep people for 12 to 17 years? One of the biggest challenges with buyers agents especially is the high turnover. What are you doing to keep your people?
I think the biggest thing is, first of all, pick the right people in the first place, and I think that's essential. But secondly is keep them productive, offer a good working environment for them, one of them that they can succeed in and that they're happy in. And part of that is providing them continually with business and keeping them profitable.
I think that's great. So you're generating more than 50 deals a year off the internet. Tell me where the business comes from. Where are you getting it?
Well, the internet leads, come from a variety of different places. This is one of the things that people really need to understand is that there's no one source for internet leads. We get a lot of those leads, believe it or not, from our current database from people that we've done business with for, the past 17 years. And so, that's part of it. But the other one is, we're getting some of them from pay-per-click. We're getting some of them from postcards. We're getting some of them from running ads. So there's just a variety of different places that we're getting these leads from.
I like that. How many leads are you generating on a monthly basis?
It varies from month to month, but I would guess that all put together we're generating somewhere from 250 to 300 buyer leads every month, and we're probably generating anywhere from 150 to 200 seller leads every month.
I mean, that's a big deal. Everyone's looking for seller leads, and we'll kind of go into that and show that a little bit about it. You use a few different systems. I know you mentioned you use, of course, RealPro Systems, Client Creator, Boomtown. Are there any other systems that you use?
Those are the primary ones that I'm using right now, Verl, and they all of them work in similar ways, but we have kind of adapted them into different parts of it, and then we have them all funneling into one system.
And that's the same back office. Talk to me about driving traffic. So you said you use a lot of pay-per-click advertising, and it was interesting. I was blown away when you told me what you used to spend and what you spend today. Talk to me a little bit about how things have changed.
Yeah, well, back when we first started doing pay-per-click marketing, this is probably 12, 13, 14 years ago, it was really inexpensive because there wasn't anybody out there, really pursuing this. And as more people got onto pay-per-click marketing, there was a lot more competition. What pay-per-click marketing really is, it's Google AdWords, or going into any of the search engines and actually bidding for placement. And so as competition raises, the cost of that lead jumps significantly. And when we first started, I think our budget was somewhere, maybe it might even have been lower than what you've got here, Verl. It might have been a couple $100 a month. But today, for the to get the kind of leads that we need, we're spending somewhere around $4,000 a month. It's a good investment. Our return on investment is still very strong, but you can also spend $4,000 a month, and if you don't do the right things, just throw that money away. So that's one of the things, of course, we're going to be talking about today, is how to convert those leads that you're getting from that marketing.
So when you talk about your conversion rate, a lot of people tell you 1%, 1 to 2% is pretty good. You're telling me you're getting 3%. That's a pretty exceptional number.
Yeah, it really is. And if you do the right things, 3% is a reasonable number to obtain. And when I say 3%, Roll, it's really, we're looking at our conversion rate over the first 3 months or first 6 months. So if we can convert somewhere between 2 to 4% over that first 6 months, we feel like we're really doing a good job. And that's, you start getting, the number of leads that we're getting every month, that's a significant amount of business. The interesting thing is, a lot of these internet leads, when they come in, they're not ready to do business today. So long term, that conversion rate can increase significantly. In fact, it can jump up to 10 to 15%, long term. Also, if you do the right things on keeping in touch with them on your, and that conversion, especially with sellers, a lot of that comes after 6 months, because most of those sellers that we, when we first touch bases with them, they're not ready to sell a house today.
They're just kind of getting an idea of what it would look like.
Trying to get an idea. They're doing the research, right?
Yeah. So what about offline marketing? Are you still a big fan of offline marketing?
Absolutely. In fact, most agents today have quit doing a lot of direct mailing because it's expensive. So, we've jumped in even heavier, and we found that postcards are really effective. So we do a lot of target marketing with postcards. We also have jumped right back into the real estate magazines. We quit marketing them completely. I don't market any properties in them, but I run ads that drive traffic to websites, where consumers can get information on buying and selling houses. So we're doing a lot of that type of marketing. We're even doing some signs and other things. Anything that you can get exposure out there to anybody that's thinking about buying or selling a house and needs information on how to do that.
I think it's very interesting because so many people put all their eggs into one basket of pay-per-click advertising. They don't think about how to drive business organically using other media to their sites.
Right. And I would say, even though a good part of our business is coming from pay-per-click, there's probably, if I look at it, over the year, probably 30% of our leads are coming from other than pay-per-click. And the other marketing, by the way, is a lot less expensive.
Yeah, so kind of take me through the process. Buyer goes on, they go to the site. Kind of take me through the process of the critical components of conversion.
Okay, so first of all, you've got to get exposure, whether it's through pay-per-click or running an ad or whatever it is. And the truth is that, consumers are out there today looking for information. Buyers are looking for information on homes they want to buy. Sellers, on the other hand, are looking for information on what their home value might be and what the market conditions are like in their specific neighborhood or their specific town that they live in. So if you become the information provider, you provide them information on homes that are available for sale. You also provide them information on what their home value is and what market conditions are. They'll flock to your sites. And the only thing you got to do is get the word out there, and that's where the marketing comes in. So you got to market. Once the lead comes in, of course, the important component is they get the information, but in trade for that, they give you a first name, an email address, and we need phone numbers. If you get those three components, a name, email, and a phone number, a valid phone number, you've got a pretty good chance of converting that lead into real business at some point in time. So, and the other part of this that we found is really essential these days, and that is the phone number part of it, and to make contact with them fairly quickly. So, having that ability to contact them and speak with them directly is a really important component in conversion. And then again, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you if your capture rate goes down by requiring the phone number.
Well, I think it probably does. We used to measure this, and I kind of quit doing it. But the number of leads that we get probably drops off somewhat by requiring the phone number, but it's way higher by once we get that lead, if we've got a valid phone number, our conversion rate jumps up. So I think today I would strongly suggest getting the phone number, and not all these phone numbers are valid. A lot of them will put in non-valid phone numbers, but I would guess when all is said and done, somewhere around 65 to 70% of our phone numbers are valid numbers.
Okay, now, so leads come in, whether it's a buyer lead or seller leads. The seller leads, you have to work a little bit longer. They're not ready for a while. I thought it was interesting you used to rely on the drip campaigns. Everybody has, canned drip campaigns in their back office. You've changed that up a little bit. Tell me how that's changed and how you're getting a better conversion as a result of what you've changed.
Yeah, so one of the important things is that once that lead comes in, that they drop into a database, and once they drop into that database, they're put into groups. So I have buyers in one group, sellers in another group, and then drip campaigns are automated. So in other words, once the lead goes into the specific group, say they're a buyer, they have an automated drip campaign that automatically starts sending emails out to that person, and this part of it's automated. Now in the beginning, this was highly effective. I mean, we just used to really rely on those drip campaigns. But as a lot of these prospects start visiting other sites, they go on to multiple drip campaigns with other agents as well. So, and also deliverability is much more of an issue today, as much more than it was a few years ago because of spam filters and so on. So drip campaigns are still important, but we've tapered back on the drip campaigns, and we do a lot of personal email, phone calls, and we're even doing text messaging now, because the whole concept here is you've got to open up some kind of communication between you and that prospect, and that's the key ingredient. And it doesn't, whether it's a phone call, an email, a text message, whatever it is, the biggest thing is to get them to respond back so you can open up that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's huge. That personal touch. It's they don't feel like they're just being spammed when you're responding to something they just recently looked at, or something they saved in their favorites or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So you spend a lot of money in lead generation. Now we have to convert, right? We have to, what you like to say is fill the funnel. What's the hardest part about doing that?
Well, the biggest thing about doing it is to have systems that allow you to do it. And there's a multitude of different systems out there today that allow you to do it. I use RealPro systems. I use Client Creator, and we also use Boomtown at times as well. So all these systems are set up to be able to allow you to collect these leads. They have websites that offer the information to the prospect, and at the same time, they have the sites collect the lead, drop them into a database, and then give you the opportunity to communicate with them through email, text, and also by calling them. When we first started this thing, there weren't systems out there like this, and today it's pretty turnkey. All you got to do is sign up with one of these systems and get set up with it. So we primarily use RealPro Systems. That's the company that we helped develop back years ago. And a fellow by the name of Rob Levy and I started that company along with Joe Leininger. And we sold it about a year ago, but it's still one of the key component for all of our lead conversion. So I noticed you just brought up our funnel, Burl.
I love your funnel.
Yeah, and so the reason I like to use this funnel, Burl, is because it really kind of gives an idea of what our database does. And we're bringing all these prospects in from all the different places of marketing, and we're dropping them into this funnel. And as they travel through the funnel, the things that we do, the way we communicate, the different processes that we do through the time that they're traveling through that funnel, will have a direct relationship on how many of them drop out the other end as a closed transaction. So, and that's the important part of it. The first part of it is the lead attraction. You got to fill the funnel, but then you have to do certain things as they're traveling through the funnel to convert that lead into real business.
So kind of take us through the step by step, and let's show graphically, kind of how a client goes through the process and the conversion process.
Yeah, so first of all, they go to the site, and once they go to the site and they sign up, then they drop into a database. And this is just a kind of a little bit of a replica of how the database looks. So the lead comes in, it's got their name, email address, phone number, whether they're a buyer or seller, and then this You know, we have different ways of categorizing the leads as well, but you know, we probably don't have enough time to go through all of that today. And then it's important that we have the ability to assign to groups, as I mentioned before.
Yeah, so you categorize the list. You don't just put them all in there as internet leads. You try and get them into buckets.
Right, and the great thing about this is we have drip campaigns, of course, that are set up specifically for each one of these groups. And also, you know, when we're going back and we're trying to market to them, we can go into specific groups, and we know exactly which groups to target with our marketing because we've classified them as the type of lead they are. And with what we're doing today, Burl, we even classify a lot of these leads with their time frame on whether they want on buying or selling, you know, whether a hot lead or they're a nurturing lead or whether a lead that's, you know, someone that's just going to be, you know, down the road. So, and we market to them completely differently.
I think it's that's going to make it much easier to follow up with people and customize their response. That's a big aha for a lot of people on this call, is that you're not just putting them all in the same back office and randomly calling them up. You're really specific with them. And is this a snapshot of your back office? Do you have 9,500 people getting your newsletters?
Yeah, and I think this is actually an old. I think we've got probably somewhere around 15,000 in our database right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody wanted to know why 3 different lead sources. Why do you have 3 lead generation systems?
Well, it gets a little bit complicated. We have one of them that is our primary database, and these other systems have different types of lead collection sites, and so we're using their sites, but all those leads are funneled into one database. So I don't have multiple databases. You know, for most people, when they're first starting out, they're not going to want to do that. But you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and we're pretty sophisticated with how we're doing all of it.
Yeah, so this is an example of what your stationery looks like when they're on their drip campaigns?
Correctly. So the most important thing about a drip message when it goes out, Burl, is that it identifies you. So even if the prospect doesn't read the message, it's got your branding on it. So it's got your picture on it, it's got your name on it, so it has an impact. And so that's important because part of the reason for the drip campaigns is branding yourself as a real estate agent to that prospect over time. And then also with the drip campaign message, it's always important that you have a call to action, a reason for them, you know, if they do read the message, a reason for them to make contact with you. And of course, once they make contact with you, then that conversation between you and the prospect begins, and that's the crucial part in you know, taking everything to the next level.
So be specific on what's the call to action on this first one. Is it?
Well, now
these, your Monday morning call?
Yeah, and not all of these may be the exact ones that we're using, but you know, some of them might be. Have you been pre-qualified for a loan yet? We have if you'd like a list of the top 20 mortgage professionals in the Eugene and Springfield area, please hit reply, and we'd be glad to send you that list. You know, just anything like that might be a hot button for them to make contact with you.
Okay, and then how do you communicate with them personally? Do you do it as a big group? Do you do it individually?
Well, this is the great thing about them being in groups. We can communicate with them as groups, or we can communicate to the entire database. So one of the things that we do is that they're on those automated campaigns as soon as they go into the database, but we also communicate with them regularly through email. And one of the things that we do is we send out a weekly email update to everybody in the database. So every Monday morning, I hit 15,000 people in my database with my weekly email message. And it's just a short message on what's taking place within real estate within the Eugene Springfield area. And a lot of times I'll take something like one of the RISMedia pieces or something and incorporate that in there and make it really information on something that somebody that's thinking about purchasing a house might need to know about the process of purchasing a home. So there's a lot of different things that you can incorporate in these, but the main thing is being consistent in sending it out week after week after week. We also send out emails once a month in our email newsletter. Again, we hit all 15,000 in our database with that newsletter. So between the two of them, we're hitting everybody in our database with an email 5 times a month. And a lot of it's just, you know, the persistence of keeping in front of them, setting myself up as the local real estate expert, and of course with a database of 15,000, you know, a lot of us being at the right place at the right time, you know, being in front of them where they're ready to buy or sell a house.
A couple things I thought were important there. One is you've got a series of touches that everybody gets that are consistent with the entire database. And then they have specific campaigns based on how they came into the site. How many different campaigns would you say you have that are running simultaneously?
Oh, golly, I would guess right now we've probably got 30 or 40 different campaigns. But I mean, we've got campaigns for other real estate agents. We got the top 200 agents in our market area in our database. We have campaigns for first-time buyers. We have campaigns for people that are downsizing. You name it, we have different campaigns. So, but the biggest deal, if somebody is just thinking about getting started in this, you just want a campaign for buyers and another one for sellers. It's very simple. And then as you grow, you can
grow it.
Yeah, and then expand as this thing grows on for you.
All right, talk to me about your lead collection pages, and then we've got a couple slides that kind of put it all together.
Okay, so lead collection page, again, what a lead collection page is, it's the page that they go to, or the site that the consumer goes to get the information. So this one that's on your screen right now, Verl, is one of them that somebody can go into and get a free home value analysis on their property. So all they got to do is give me first name, email address, address of their property, and hit submit, and they get an automated email analysis on the property's value. So and what happens now, once they come into the lead collection site, they give me their information, they get the information they want, they drop into my database, which automatically sets off a campaign that's specific for that site, whether they're a buyer or seller. And then the other part of it is once they get put on a campaign, of course that campaign is connected to an email drip, so they start receiving the automated drip messages. And also, it gives us the ability to hit them with blast email. Now, the thing that's really important about blast email is that most of our campaigns will go out for a period of a short one would be 2 weeks, a long one's going to be 6 months. If they don't take action during the duration of that campaign, they drop off the face of the earth. So you need to have the ability to have email blast, because that's the way you keep in touch with them long term. Short term is the drip campaigns, long term is the email blast. And especially with sellers, a lot of these homes that we're listing today, they've been in my database for 2 or 3 years. In fact, I listed a house last week for a couple that were downsized and have been in my database for 8 years. So, that's where it becomes really important to keep in touch with them long term, and email blast gives you the ability to do that.
Love that. Talk to me about driving traffic, some of your online and offline.
So as I mentioned, other than pay-per-click, there's a lot of different things that you can do. This is just an example of some newspaper ads that we run. The one that's the most effective is the one that's on the left. And just this ad is one that we run in the classified section, where you would normally be advertising properties, but we run this ad about a dozen times, and we usually run it on Sundays. And all it says is email home search, instant detailed information on all homes listed for sale in the Eugene and Springfield area that meet your search criteria with daily updates as new homes hit the market. Log on to forhomeinfo.com. So we'll run that ad, like I said, on Sunday, and running it 12 times is about the cost of doing an open house ad. And, we'll pull anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 buyer leads out of this every weekend. So, and so it's low cost way to get out there in front of people. And, everybody's looking through those classified ads still, just because it gives them the ability to go in and look at all the homes for sale.
A lot of people don't understand what pay-per-click means.
Well, pay-per-click is, again, it's a way for you to go in there and bid for placement for certain search terms. So what we do is we try to pick out the key search terms that anybody that's thinking about buying a home, and we particularly do pay-per-click for buyers, by the way. But search term might be Eugene, Oregon homes for sale, Eugene, Oregon real estate. Eugene, Oregon real estate for sale, Eugene and Springfield real estate for sale. So all those are search terms, and we go in and bid for placement. And what we want to do is come up in the top 3 of those paid placement ads. And the paid placement ads, if you go on to a Google search, are those ones that are where I have these highlighted. They're at the top of the search or running down that right-hand side. So if you're coming up in the top 3, you're going to get hit a lot. Not everybody that goes in there is going to register at your site, but you get dinged every time they hit on it. So, and I think probably most of our leads right now, and this varies from day to day, week to week, month to month, but they're probably costing us somewhere around $3 to $3.50 per hit right now. So it's fairly expensive. You know, in the beginning, if you're just starting at this, start with a low budget. Start with a low budget of $250. But it's a way. The great thing about pay-per-click is I don't do anything. Those leads just automatically appear in my inbox. Facebook is a really great way today to really get in and grab a bunch of those leads as well. And Facebook pay-per-click marketing is a lot less expensive than trying to get these leads from Google. And the great thing about Facebook is you can go in there and you can really dial in the target market that you want to hit with these ads. So it's really easy. If you have a Facebook account, just go in and look at their paid marketing, and it's pretty easy to figure out how to do this. Again, most of our Facebook marketing is geared towards buyers, although we've had some recent success with sellers. So this is becoming more and more prevalent in our marketing, and it's we get a lot of leads for a lot less money than pay-per-click marketing.
Again, a quick question. When you're talking about all this advertising and marketing, you said something a minute ago that I didn't ask you the question directly on. You said you're hitting the entire database 5 times a month.
Right.
You don't feel like that's too much?
You know, it really isn't. In fact, we really track our the number of people that disengage, and it's very low. The biggest thing with those emails, Verl, is to keep them informational. As long as you keep them informational, you keep the type of information that anybody would want, you know, keep it information about what's taking place in your local real estate market, et cetera. You know, they're not going to disengage. They're going to keep wanting those. So yeah, I think it's very effective. It has been for many years.
With the big database, you just farm the heck out of it.
Exactly.
I love that. You talked about following up with phone, and when a call comes in, you're getting the leads directly on your phones as well.
Yeah. So the other thing that's really important is that, and this is more important today than it ever has been, and that is that, you know, you get a phone number, and again, not all those phone numbers are valid, but we find about 65 to 70% of them are. But you need to have the ability to have a system that once that lead comes in, it's routed right to a mobile device. So in other words, what happens, as soon as I have a buyer or seller lead come in, it's routed to a mobile device, so I have either myself or one of my buyer's agents that gets that lead immediately. And calling that lead immediately is really important, because a lot of these buyers today and sellers are online, and they're looking at multiple sites. And today, you know, there's a ton of agents that have systems just like I do within my market area, and if I don't connect with them first, one of my competitors will. So hitting them quickly is very important. So in fact, this chart kind of shows that. And this is one of them that I think I got this from Boomtown, but it shows that if you can connect with that lead within the first 5 minutes, look at your conversion rate and look how quickly that drops off, even if it takes you 10 minutes and 15 minutes, 20 minutes, let alone if it goes into the next day. So having the ability to just go to a mobile device, calling them, qualifying that lead is highly, highly important. In fact, this is one of the most important things that you can do. And I tell agents that it's so important that I would rather have fewer leads and the ability to contact all of them quickly than having tons of leads, so many leads that I couldn't get in touch with them, because most of them I'm just going to waste that way.
Absolutely true. Love that you're doing texting.
Yeah, now here's the other thing that we found too, is that not everybody will respond to a drip email campaign or an email. A lot of them, we can call them until the cows come home and we'll never connect with them. But you know, what we started doing was hitting them with a text message, because most of these leads today are coming in from a mobile device. So a lot of them will get a text. So all you got to do is hit them with a text. A lot of times they'll text you right back. And this is just the preferred way a lot of people like to communicate, and it's just one other option that we have today that we didn't have back a few years ago.
I love it.
So, and I think this is just an example of our weekly real estate update that we send out. And Verl, again, the biggest thing on this is that I send it out every single Monday morning. I call it my Monday morning real estate update. It goes out every single morning, or Monday morning, and I never miss a Monday morning. And same thing with my email newsletter. It goes out the first Wednesday of every month. We never miss a Wednesday. It is just the consistency that pays off. And again, you can see a lot of that content we haven't written. We've borrowed this from places like RISMedia and so on. It's really easy to put these together. In fact, this email newsletter, we probably put it together within a half hour every Wednesday, or first Wednesday of each month, and send that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's kind of review real quick about kind of the process. You generate leads from everywhere you possibly can, and then what?
Capture the email and the phone number and, of course, the name, and route it to a mobile device. That's really important. And then the most important part is once it comes into that mobile device, hitting them back quickly with a phone call. And the phone calls need to be simple, short. The only thing you're doing is just checking in with them, thanking them for coming to your website, asking them if they have any questions, and then saying, oh, by the way, are you in the market for purchasing or selling a home right today? And qualifying that lead is important, because that way you know how to communicate with them from then on. And then being consistent with all of that is what's the key ingredient.
I love that. Consistency, consistency, consistency. When you put that on the slide, I thought, you know what? That is so true. It's people, they just forget to do the basic things. They think you have to be Einstein in order to be effective in lead follow-up and conversion. Is that true?
Yeah, and you don't have to be Einstein. Here's the deal. If you develop this system and you do the same thing every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you're going to do an unbelievable amount of business at the end of the year from it.
A lot of great questions that came in. I'm going to jump in. I want to introduce Lane because we have limited time, but stick on for the end of the call today, and I'm going to engage both of you in some questions. Can you do that with me, Galen?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for amazing information. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. Next up, and we lost video for there just for a second, is Lane Hornig. And Lane, welcome to the call today. I'm excited that you're here. Lane's excited to be here too. We just have to unmute him. So Lane, on your own control panel, let's have you do it and not have somebody else do it. I think there's two people. One's unmuting you and the other one's muting you. So it's working backwards. While we're waiting for Lane to get audio, let me do a quick introduction. Lane is the CEO, one of the founders of AZ Real Estate out of Boulder, Colorado. And what an interesting gentleman. I met Lane for the first time in preparation for this call. He has a very strong background in technology. He's one of the founding executives of Zip Realty. He's really early on in adopting online lead generation systems and strategies. And it was really fun to talk to him about, how things started with him and real estate lead generation. He built up an unbelievable agent-to-agent referral team, became one of the top 10 teams in RE/MAX International, and then started AZ Real Estate as a brokerage. And it's kind of fun to see the kind of volume that he does. Lane, are you on now? Can you hear me?
No, I'm with you. Verl. Thanks for saying I'm a tech guru, and then I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself, but we're ready. Let's keep rolling.
Let's go. I'm just getting warmed up, man. I'm telling you about how awesome you are. Generating over 800 million in volume in AZ Real Estate is just that's a big number with only 120 agents. And what I loved about your bio is that 160 million comes directly from leads generated on the internet. And you can't generate $160 million in sales a year from the internet unless you become really good at converting those leads. Very different office concept. Tell me a little bit about AZ Real Estate. What makes your concept so different?
Yeah, at AZ we really grew out of internet lead generation and then built a brokerage around it. I think Galen laid out a great framework of how to operate as a team, and everything he's doing. I was certainly taking notes because, we operate as a team, but then we just kept expanding, right? So built around online lead generation as kind of the cornerstone, but then increased that lead generation into, the great thing about internet leads is they become sphere. You close with an internet lead, that one transaction's nice, but what's really great is the sphere transactions that come after that. So we prime the pump with internet, and then, that's at 160 million, and then of course we're trying to generate referrals and repeat business out of that. So that combination has allowed us to, we average just over 20 transactions per year per license. That is a very strict measurement on our end. I think a lot of people play games with that. That's on an individual license basis. So
that's pretty awesome. What is that? NAR says the average agent does about 7 transactions a year. So your agents are producing 3 times. Yeah. 3 times. That's pretty amazing. And it's all based on this internet lead generation model. So take me kind of through the process of conversion. I love that you said before I convert, I have to first.
Yeah, just like Galen said, you got to have some leads, right? So, you know, I'll try to highlight some things here. Facebook ads around, around your own listings can be extremely effective. As Galen said, the really nice thing about Facebook is you can get super hyper local and super hyper demographic targeted. You could target a person in a zip code that showed interest in buying a house within the last 3 months and is female. So, and the nice thing is on Facebook, you can get it down to, you know, 5 cents, 10 cents a click. As Galen mentioned, the beautiful thing about pay-per-click, and I guess everybody's using it shorthand, but really what you're doing is you're getting access to Google's audience. And Google has the largest audience. They're the gorilla still. So you can, you know, for $10 a month, you can get access to a tiny little slice of Google's audience. It's a really fairly easy user interface to set up a campaign. But once it gets a little more complicated, we found it's better to partner with experts. I mean, we're experts ourselves, but we still find it's better to partner with Boomtown in our case, and they actually manage our campaigns.
I think that's awesome. What do you mean? What does hyperlocal mean?
Yeah, hyperlocal means, you know, real estate's as local as it gets. So in the case of like pay-per-click, let's say there's a neighborhood called Springfield, and it's you know, 50 houses. You could target Springfield neighborhood, Denver, Colorado. It won't get a lot of clicks, but the ones that you get obviously will be really targeted, and those lesser search terms cost a lot less per click. Certainly not the $3 or $3.50 per click that Eugene, Oregon real estate would cost.
Right. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. What kind of leads are you generating? How many visits to your site? Talk to me about kind of the conversion funnel with you guys.
Yeah, I'd start by saying if you're going to get in the online lead generation game, first thing is you got to have the mindset of this is a game of big, big numbers. You will not succeed if you come into it with, hey, I'm going to try to generate, you know, 10 leads and I want to convert 7 of them. You'll bang your head against the wall and be frustrated and say this internet is a waste of time. So you got to come into it with, you know, Galen mentioned he's got a database of over 15,000. You got to have big numbers because it's a funnel and very little drops out of the bottom. So here's kind of what our funnel looks like. Between all our sites, we generate over 80,000 visits. In the core of the summer, it'll be over 100,000. About 5% of those become what I call prospects, which are not anonymous. We have some sort of contact with them. The way we work it is we have a front line of defense, what we call our client care team. When you have an agent doing 20+ deals a year, it's actually not a great use of their time to be filtering, you know, random internet leads. So we have an in-house team. They're customer care folks. They're highly skilled, but they're not agents. And they're at their desks 7 days a week, scrubbing those leads. When 2 questions get answered, one, that the person wants the help of a realtor, and the second question is that person we believe is worth a realtor's time, they become a referral, and then we hand them off to one of our agents, and that generates. We do about 300 or 400 of those referrals a month, and as I said, we've got an in-house team, 4 people, just all day long monitoring our lead flow. So Zillow is a lot of traffic coming from Zillow. You can't ignore them. Here's one way we market our listings on Zillow. Very effective. You don't have to spend any money to market your listings on Zillow, but if you do, there's traffic there, and you can drive that traffic back to your own site. So that's effective.
So describe to me what's happening on this page.
Yeah, it's it's one of our listings. It's our agent up there in Windsor, Mark Despain. It's important that he's got 49 recent sales, 13 reviews, 5-star reviews. So he's got credibility immediately with that audience of Zillow folks. That's important. Your profile is important. We've also got our own lender Joe Whitlock down there. So we're coming across as a package. Of course, we want to show our listings with great photos. You can talk all day long about you're a great marketer. You got to show it. This is a Facebook ad for one of our listings. We find that you can generate a lot of traffic. Typically, people aren't going to buy this house, so you got to have a mindset of they're not going to give you a call and say, hey, let's write an offer on this nice little Spanish ranch in Colorado Springs. You've got to engage with them and then see if you can help them in their home search and do real estate 101 belly to belly. So online, it's like online dating. It's all about the eye candy. Nobody reads text online, and so you got to have the eye candy. We work with a company called Studio out of Canada. They produce our digital flyers. This is an example of it. It's studiohq.com. Killer flyers. This attracts people.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Lane. And I haven't dated for 29 years, so I never got into the online dating scene. So, but that kind of hit a nerve with me that it's like online dating. The eye candy matters, and if they don't like your profile when they look at you, they just go to the next one.
Yeah, I don't think too many profiles in Match.com without a photo are getting dates.
How about photo coming soon?
Yeah. So another example of the studio's work on our flyers, some more eye candy, as we say, just to give people an idea.
Yeah, I love that.
So then we drive people to our own website at 8z.com. I agree with Galen that phone number is key. There's a obviously, if you ask for phone number and the number of people who sign up on this form is going to go down dramatically. However, the quality is going to go up dramatically in your ability to convert them enough, we believe, to offset asking for it. Online people are savvy. They'll if they want to put in a fake phone number, they will.
I saw this a while ago, and we've implemented on our sites as well, where we put the phone number and we use that as a password to the site. So you put your phone number in and use it as your password to get in the future. That's more likely to get an accurate phone number because they can remember it.
Yeah, and you give them a reason of why you need your phone number. We're not shy about, hey, we're more than a website. We're a website with great service. So we ask for the phone number because we want to help them, and we're really good at it.
Yeah, when you say give them what they want, what do you mean by that?
Give them what they want is they're there to search. I mean, let's not. Most of the traffic on the internet is buyers. It's 90% buyers. I think Galen's doing an awesome job of generating some seller leads. What they want is the easy ability to search. Again, we partner with Boomtown because they've got 25 engineers in a room building great search. This slide is a little more seller focused, and I agree with Galen. There's starting to be some capability to generate seller leads online, and what they want is, what's your home worth?
Simple as that. There's some funky transitions in here in this presentation. So first you have to generate leads. You talked about using Boomtown. Show me a little bit about what that looks like. Kind of take me through kind of a back office, what that looks like.
Yeah, Boomtown has two things going for it. One, it's a super sophisticated CRM and customer relationship management. Fancy way of saying keeping track of all those people. At the same time, it's very intuitive and easy to use for someone who's not technical. You just click on buttons. It's self-explanatory what you're doing. So again, you're trying to take your big numbers. This is the top of the funnel. You're trying to segment them down to, okay, who have I talked to? And the whole goal here, right, is move them from an online relationship to a real-world relationship, so we can do what we've been doing in real estate forever. The belly-to-belly service, and that's what people are looking for. So we can. This shot here is Boomtown has some great capabilities. When your database gets big, it's hard to look into it. So this gives a user a real easy way to slice and dice the database, put their finger right on the person they want or the type of person they want.
I thought it was interesting that somebody asked actually earlier it was a question that came for Galen, is how many different lead sources do you have going into your back office? And Galen says he uses multiple things, and they all go to his RealPro back office. You do the same thing, multiple lead sources, but they all go into one back office to manage. Is that
yeah, and I think that's real important. You don't want to have too many back offices. So, Boomtown has the ability, for instance, Zillow leads come directly and auto import. Nobody has to lift a finger or stroke a key on a keyboard. They just get it's essentially slammed into the into the database, and then we can take over from there.
Awesome. What am I looking at here?
Just another view of the database. This is actually a really nifty feature called Best Fit Leads. We can take, when a new listing comes on the market, we can, very sophisticated algorithm. Again, you don't need to know the details of it as an agent. These are the people that this listing is most likely to match what they're looking for. Very easy phone call or email or text then to say, hey, new listing on the market really matches your search criteria. And this is without, of course, it's again about big numbers. How do you do this more efficiently? So if the machine can do all that crunching for you and then you make the call or send the text, it's a lot more efficient. And again, this is just a good dashboard. It's all about follow-up. You got to keep following up until, what we say is keep being their realtor until they tell you otherwise.
My motto is we follow up until they buy or tell us to die.
Sounds good.
That's great. A lot of good things that are happening on there. How's their mobile app?
Can't ignore mobile. Over 50% of the real estate traffic is now mobile. I mean, real estate's such a great fit for mobile. We're finding the leads coming from mobile are more, higher conversion ratio. It makes sense. They're out on the field. They're active. They're engaged. So
let's talk about what the consumer really wants, right? And creating that experience.
Yeah, the one thing
I would say, something else?
If you're out there in the audience and you're thinking about getting into the online lead business, don't just go buy a website. Choose a partner. There's so much more than just putting a website up online. You got to actually have and I wouldn't recommend building your site yourself. Those days are over. But there's lots of great companies out there. But really choose a partner who's gonna help you be successful in the business, not just give you a website.
Right, and there really are a lot of good companies that do a great job with online lead generation and have very robust back offices as well.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about what the consumer really wants, and let's talk about the conversion process.
Yeah, the biggest mistake people make is they think they see these internet empowered consumers. These people have been online searching. They seem to know everything. They're well versed in the inventory. And the mistake people make is they let those buyers take over. And they're not, even though they have a lot of knowledge, they're actually coming to you so you take over. You've got to, what we say, you've got to flex your market knowledge muscle and drive the process. That's what they're looking for. If you're hands off, you will lose them. So, one thing we talk about is to drive a process, you got to have a process. And then the last thing here is, the checking in call, that doesn't do anybody any good. You'll lose an internet person. If you just keep checking in, what you really need to do is move the ball forward. Assume they're going to transact. How can you move the ball forward? Hey, there's a great new listing. You want to go see it. That property actually closed. Here's the price. That kind of that changes the dynamics in the market. Prices are going up. Move the ball forward for them. I
love that you said that. I don't know if people really got that. You're saying stop calling people and say, "Hey, this is Burrow. I'm just checking in. See if you're getting any closer." You don't like that call.
I hate that call. Call them and say, "Hey, Mrs. Burrow, my lender." My lender thinks that you would qualify for XYZ type of loan product. He's already done a little bit of the work on it. Why don't I have him give you a call? You're moving the ball forward for them. I mean, think about your own life. You don't mind if someone leaves you voicemail after voicemail and you never call them back, but as long as they're moving the ball forward for you.
Yeah, I asked you to give me some of those one-liners, and here's some of the ones you gave me prior in our pre-interview.
Yeah, I think the key here is simple, simple, simple. We used to have long emails. We used to have these are much more effective. You just say really basic stuff. You know, would you like to hear about listings before they come on the market? Would you like me to help make sure you're not missing out on any listings? And then the last one there, you know, would you like a free copy of our AZ Ultimate Buyer's Guide? Well, that's our process. So we put it right in their hands. Here's our process. Let's go.
And I love that Ultimate Buyer's Guide is something of value that you can either send them, you can email it to them, they can download it. It's a tangible thing that gives value, that sells them on why they need you as to represent them as a buyer's agent, right?
Yeah, we can send it digitally, but what we love to do is get face-to-face with them and put it in their hands. It's a physical, physical nice piece, makes a good impression. It's got a lot of great information.
Galen mentioned texting. You've mentioned texting. Talk to me about texting.
Yeah, texting, I don't know how long it'll last, but like I said here, if you're sitting in a room of people, I could send everybody a text on this webinar right now, and everyone would stop listening to me, and they'd read that text. So it really cuts through the clutter, and you can be really simple on text. The most effective text we send is actually the bottom one. How is your home search going? And out of the blue, they'll send a 3-part text explaining how their home search is going. Now we're engaged.
I love that. It's so not complicated. I think we way overcomplicate this whole process.
I think you're right.
Other keys to conversion.
Yeah, I mean, nothing good happens in a delay. A hot lead can go cold in 10 minutes. And by the way, they won't, if you get them on the phone, they won't say, oh, gee, I found someone else to help me. They'll say, I was just messing around. I'm not really in the market. So what we like to say is you want to be uncomfortably fast. To the point where you start dialing when they're still on your site, when they're just, we've got a client care team who's waiting for that submission. They call the moment it hits their inbox. And the people are kind of delighted. They're like, wow, you guys are good. I'm like, yeah, we are. We're here to serve you. And,
I love that.
It's just a safety net. It's still about getting people to people, face to face, engaging. I agree with Galen. AutoDrip is not as effective as it used to be, but it's a nice safety net.
So you make your agents do 8 touches in the first 2 weeks. That's a lot, isn't it?
That's the idea. And it probably could be higher. It probably could be 12, but we're 8Z, so we do 8. And that person you think is not responding, all of a sudden they say, hey, I appreciate all that moving the ball forward you've been doing for me. I finally got a moment to come up for air. I'm ready. Let's go look at some houses.
Love that. Know your numbers. Why is that so important?
Well, you're spending money on conversion. You're spending your own time. That's the most valuable thing people are spending is their own time. And again, it's a game of big numbers. 2,500 prospects turn into 250 referrals to agents. So in our world, we want to convert 1 out of 5 of those referrals to the agent. Again, game of big numbers. It's not 4 out of 5.
Right. You talked about having an ISA, or you had a frontline sales team. I love that. They set the appointments.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's our front line of defense. And we reward success both of the ISA team as well as our agents. We've got at AZ we've got a thing called Club 10. You sell 10 million in volume or 40 sides. You're going to Mexico with your spouse or significant other or your friend. All expenses paid, first class, all the way.
I love that. I love that you motivate your people, and not just the buyer's agents, but you're motivating the salespeople who are setting appointments, right?
Of course, they're right there.
I love my appointment setters. I think that's phenomenal. So much information. Galen and Lane, if you'll just stick around for a minute, let me ask you both a few questions. Any summary, Lane, as we kind of wrap up into Q&A right now?
I'm sorry, you cut out?
Yeah. So as a summary, as a kind of a summary, give me the top 2 or 3 things you think everybody should do to convert a higher percent of their leads. Just if you had to do these 3 things, what are they?
Immediately respond. Number 1. And number two, help the people. When I say about moving the ball forward, just help them. Just be their agent. Don't overthink it. Just be their agent. And then the last one is partner with people who are experts at whether it's pay-per-click, website development. Don't try to do it all on your own.
Right. Those are all phenomenal. So this is for both of you, and Galen, maybe you can take this question. Samantha says, I need help getting a process, and how do you ensure the agents follow your process?
So she needs help in getting a process on doing this, is that correct? Is that what I'm...
Yeah, how do you get a process, the follow-up process, how do you build that process, and then how do you ensure that your buyer's agents actually follow that process?
Yeah, well, I think what Lane was saying is really important, and that is to partner with somebody that's already developed the process, whether it's Real Pro Systems, Boomtown, Tiger Leads, whoever it might be, there are systems out there that are already pre-built, and all you got to do is plug into them. Making sure that your buyer agent is following the process is really a difficult thing, and the same thing with ISAs. You got to have accountability. And one of the great things about both Real Pro Systems and Boomtown is that they have back ends that indicate follow-up, and you can check on the accountability and hold either buyer's agent or ISA accountable. So when you're looking at different systems, there's different systems that might tailor different to teams or individual agents or so on. Look at them all and buy a system that fits your needs.
That's awesome. Hey, Lane, real quick on when you do the online flyers, you talked about the online flyers. How do you distribute those online flyers, that digital marketing strategy? Does that go to everybody in your back office? Are you doing it to your, are you segmenting your list? Tell me who gets it.
We have a centralized marketing team who takes that material and they'll place Facebook ads. They'll highlight it on Zillow. They'll market it on our own websites. So it's kind of a machine in the background. It's a system that the agent doesn't have to stroke all those keys to get it exposed online.
Yeah, Dean wanted to know if any of the lead companies, like we're talking about Boomtown or Real Pro, whatever, offer a website that's included with it. And the answer to that is, I can answer that, is yes, they all do. That's all part of it. They have the front end and the back end. And that's what makes their sites so effective. And keep in mind, there are multiple companies. There's companies like, Galen, you mentioned Boomtown, you mentioned Real Pro Systems, somebody mentioned Conversions, Tiger Leads, Agent Jet, Commissions Inc. I mean, there's a lot of them. Lead generation is not an issue in real estate. It's whether or not you have the systems, whether or not you have the right processes, and that comes oftentimes with good coaching, and whether or not you have the ability to follow up. And for some people, and of course, you got to have a little bit of money. You have some money to market it.
Yep.
Do either one of you guys use a location-based GPS tracking program? So that tracks videos, text, sign writers, things like that. Do either of you guys use that to generate leads?
We've experimented with some of that and have not had great success.
All right, I appreciate that.
In particular, like sign writer type, haven't had, the silence was deafening.
Yeah, we experienced the same thing.
The silence was deafening. I appreciate that. I'd appreciate Tom coming in and asking some of those questions, because when you see top producers, you want to know if they're testing new things. I guarantee you they're testing new things. How often do you guys try a new technology or a new system?
Geez, I would say we're trying new things every day, and we're trying new ads, trying new postcards, new systems, and you try 20 of them, one of them works, and sometimes you got to tweak with it to make it work. So.
We're testing new stuff. We try to keep it internal and make sure it works, and then we roll it out to the whole, the whole agent force.
I want to let everybody know on the call that, Lane has given us his exceptional buyer guide, is the ultimate buyer guide that he uses with AZ Realty, and he's going to make that available to you. Use that for content. He wants you to have a copy of it so you can duplicate it for your own business, have something tangible of value that you can give to your prospects as a reason to get together. And I want to say thank you, Lane, for making that available to everybody. And also, Galen has given us a whole bunch of samples of different things he uses in marketing and driving people to his websites, as well as the scripts he uses for the conversion process. And when you just simply go to workmansuccess.com web, you'll receive an immediate email. We'll have the attachments of these downloads, and you'll also be asked if you want to have a free business consult, where we'll come in and take a look at your business with you, find out if there's something we can do to help you increase or take your business to the next level. Everything we do is all about systems for everything. Unbelievable content today. On behalf of RAS Media, RAS Media's Content Solutions, I want to thank everybody for being here, and especially thank Galen Hawes and Lane Hornig for spending your time, valuable content, and sharing with all of the people on the call today. We had a lot of people here today. We wish you guys an amazing amount of continued success, and we'll see you out there, especially online. Thanks everybody for being here today.